Welcome back to the Right Wave Audio community. My name is John, and for this video, we continue our Home Theater Amplifier series in 2022, and this time it's with Krell, and this series all began with Monolith by Monoprice, followed by Emotiva, Tone Winner, Iota VX, Outlaw Audio, ATI Amplifier Technologies, OSD, NAD, Marantz, Yamaha, Onkyo Integra, Rotel, Arcam JBL Synthesis, Audio Control, Anthem, Starke Sound, Parasound, Primare, Wisdom Audio, Acurus Aragon, Bryston, and this one, our 22nd video of the series with Krell. And we're nearly complete. We have one more that we're going to do. You can probably guess it. But, and we'll probably, there's some we've missed, of course. There's lots of amplifier companies, but I wanted to get a good representation here. But with Krell, we've got a lot of amplifiers to cover here. They have several series. They have their Theater 7 XD, their Core series, which is 4200, 5200, 7200 XD. They have their Duo, which is a 2-channel amplifiers, which are 125, 175, 300 XD. The Trio 3-channel amplifier, 300 XD, and their Solo 1-channel monaural amplifiers, the 375 and 575 XD. And these range roughly between $5,500 up to $11,500, albeit it's difficult for us to get pricing on these premium amplifiers. They go through their own distribution, and you can't find them so easily online, but we give you at least a ballpark here. So getting into this, and we're going to start with the Theater 7 XD as one of the more affordable products in their lineup, at least from a cost per channel perspective. And this Theater 7 XD sells for $7,500, introduced in 2018. We're a little rough on the actual announcement dates, but again, just use it as a guide. We'll definitely know if something brand new comes out that in these ranges. But this is 105 watts per channel for each channel, Class A. And that's what makes Krell unique in the marketplace, is they're the only brand that we've seen to date that is full Class A on all their amplifiers. And this is no exception. And we see this design. Now, Krell is very consistent on the way their products look. This is one of the newest products in their lineup. They've got this LED screen, which is, again, pretty unique. We don't see a lot of displays on amplifiers unless they're meters, but this is not. This is giving some status information about the serial number and the version of the firmware. And we've got this blue LED highlighting the Krell logo in the center and a power button. This Theater 7, well, as consistent as it is with the other models, does seem to look a little different. I don't know if it's quite the photo. That piece in the center looks a little different, but still very, very close. On the back of this unit, you've got balanced and unbalanced connections. You also have an Ethernet communication port, and we'll take a look at that, and the 5-way binding post and a removable IEC power connector. Now the Chorus line, now these are multi-channel amplifiers, Chorus more than 2, and they're available in 4, 5, and 7-channel configurations, all introduced about 2014, all delivering 200 watts per channel Class A, and this is for 4, 5, and 7 channels. So the 4-channel model is the 4200 XD, the 5-channel model is the 5200 XD, and the 7-channel model is the 7200 XD. So they've look at that first number in the model, and that is your channel count. Now we can see right away similar design aspects on the front of this. And what I was talking about in the center, that depression, I didn't think we saw that on the Theater 7 XD, that depression in the center of that silver piece in the middle on this product. So, but the rest of the line has that. But the first thing you notice on the back is the fans, and you can see up to 4 fans on these models. And we don't know if that count actually changes between the 4, 5, and 7 channel, but just keep in mind that they do have fans that operate. There's a common manual that each of these use, so again, that's not telling me how many fans each model is using, but it also has this Ethernet port. There is balanced and unbalanced connections on this, as well as a trigger input. Now, pricing on the Chorus, I don't have a price on the 4200 4-channel model. We did find a price for the 5200, the 5-channel model, of $7,500, and the 7200 XD at $9,500. So we'll just imagine that the 4-channel one is a little less than $7,500, maybe around the $6,000 range. The Duo, which is the 2-channel version of Krell amplifiers, and these are available as the 125 XD, which is 125 watts, the 175 XD, which is 175 watts, and the 300 XD, you guessed it, 300 watts per channel. And again, all Class A. This is 2 channels amplification. We believe these came out around 2014. Same look and design, same fans on the back, and all the other characteristics. This is essentially same enclosure, same design, styling on the outside, same features on the outside, just as a different wattage and a different channel count. Duo 125 sells for $5,500. The Dual 175 sells for $7,500. And the Dual 300 sells for $9,500. Now, when we move to the Trio 300 XD, you guessed it, this is the 3-channel version, and everything else is pretty much the same from looking at it from the outside. Again, 2014 release, 300 watts per channel into 3 channels, Class A. So Trio, 3 channels, and otherwise this is the same thing with the display on the front, the fans, and the Ethernet port on the back, and the trigger input. Now they have a Solo, which is a mono block version of these amplifiers, and the Solo series starts with the 375 XD and sells for $8,750. We believe this came out with the other models in 2014. This delivers 375 watts of Class A, and this, they do show only 2 fans on the back, so this is a difference in the photos that they provide from Krell, but otherwise this looks like it fits into the family quite nicely. And stepping up from the 375 is the 575, and if you might guess it, 575 is 575 watts of Class A amplification, but this time with 4 fans in the back. This looks like it may have come out a year later, but around the 2014-2015 time frame. And that goes over that whole series, and the Solo 575 is really the top of the line at $11,250. Now, we mentioned the Ethernet port on the back of each of these Krell models, and we're starting to see this on some of these premium models where they have these Ethernet ports, and they have this one and it has it on all the models. And this brings up a web page. You put the IP address in, and it brings up what you see here, and it gives you some monitoring status. It shows you the temperature of each channel, whether the fans are running and which fans. One of 4, up to 4 fans are on these products. You can turn the power on and off remotely. You can see what's coming through the LCD screen on the front of the amplifier. You can issue software updates. You can change the timer for when there's no signal detected and it's going to turn itself down. There's a timeout for the display. So if you don't want to see the display on for long, you can adjust that time. And whether it's going to create an error log and send something to you via email when there is an error. So this is nice, some diagnostics, some display for you as a owner of a Krell amplifier. And looking at these side by side, you would think that you're looking at all the same model there, other than the fact that the Theater 7 XD seems to have a little more color in the LEDs, and I don't know just that was a choice in when they took the picture, but it does appear a little different than the others, as well as that centerpiece not having the icicle looking thing in the center. But otherwise, these are all fit together. You know, you can mix and match these, as we've said, with other amplifiers that are consistent like Krell. When you turn around these on the back, I mean, all the models from the chorus line, the dual line, the trio, and the solo, they all look the same in the back, just your channel counts and your number of fans change. But when you looked at the Theater 7 XD, which, by the way, has very similar specifications to the Chorus 7200 XD, but sells for $7,500, so it seems to be a very good value unit. What you do see really different with the Theater 7 is the lack of fans, at least from the visible outside. So if you took off the cover of the case, would you see that we cannot find interior shots of the Krell from either the Krell website or from third-party sites, what it looks like inside. If you have something that would show the inside of a Krell, that would be really appreciated by this community. So if you have that, please forward it to us. That would be great. So yes, here is the lineup side by side, and you can see the Theater 7, the newest model, really stands out. Now, the specifications. Now, all of them have both RCA and XLR connections, which equates to the number of channels you have of amplification. The input impedance. The Theater 7 XD is 27 kiloohms for unbalanced, 54 kiloohms for balance, which is different than all the other models. All the other models are 100 kiloohm for unbalanced, 200 kiloohm for balanced. So their newest model is a deviation from the others from that respect, and a few other areas. They all have one trigger input, no trigger output on any of these models. The input sensitivity at 8 ohms is 1.5 volts for the 7XD, 1.96 volts for the Chorus series, whether that's the 4200, 5200, or the 7200. We get that all in one column here, those three models, because they're all really set the same there, other than the pricing and the number of channels. And the dual 125 XD is 1.63 volts. The dual 175 XD is 1.84 volts. The dual 300 XD is 2.4 volts. So is the trio 300 XD is 2.4 volts. We think the dual 300 and the trio 300 are pretty close, other than that extra channel that the trio has. And the Soul 375 XD is 2.45 volts. And the Soul 575 XD is 3.03 volts. So you get a higher input sensitivity as you move up the range here. Cost per channel. So the most affordable one, and we kind of alluded to this earlier, is the Theater 7 XD. Comes in $1,071 per channel. And so that makes it competitive against a lot of different models in the marketplace that play around the $800 to $1,200 per channel range, which is a good number of them. So that kind of that second tier up in pricing. But the rest of them start around, well, the Chorus, it's the Chorus 7200 is just a little bit more than that per channel at $1,375. So that other 7-channel model was close, but they, with the new model, they decided to bring that cost per channel down a little bit, which is nice to see. The chorus does go up to $27.50, which is also the same cost per channel as the dual 125 XD, and they go up from there. The 175 XD dual is $3,750. The dual 300 XD is $4,750. The trio 300 XD is $3,853 per channel, and the solo, you're paying close to $9,000 per channel on the 375, and over $11,000 per channel. It's the one model block, so it's what you, on these model blocks, it's what you pay for the whole unit, so $11,250. But these are all Class A. But the other thing is, this is the only line we know that is fully balanced across the whole line. So we do have that consistency. Class A, fully balanced. The gains are at least 25.5 decibels, and they go up to 27 decibels on the gain. So don't go up to 28, 29 as some other products do, but this is still a good respectable gain. The load impedance, they can handle 4 ohm speakers just fine, up to 8 ohm. Slew rate is specified as 40 volts per microsecond on all of the units, except for the Theater 7. We don't have a rating there, but they do specify capacitance on the Theater 7 XD of 160 microfarads. On the output power, the Theater 7 XD is 105 watts per channel into 8 ohms, and now we can start to see why that's priced lower than the Chorus 7200 XD, which is delivering 200 watts per channel. So for that extra couple of $100 per channel cost, you are getting almost twice the amplification with the Chorus versus the Theater. So Theater is definitely more on the budget side, and the Theater 7 will do 4 ohm loads at 140 watts versus the Chorus 7200 XD will do 360 watts. Now the other Chorus models, the 4200 and the 5200 XD, also do 200 watts into 8 ohms, 360 watts into 4 ohms. The dual series, the output power is the same as the model number, so at 8 ohms, so 125 watts for the dual 125. The dual 175 is 175, and the dual 300 is 300. And the 4 ohm power output is respectively 250 watts, 350 watts, and 540 watts. And again, the Trio 300 XD is mirroring a little bit of the Dual 300 at 300 watts, 8 ohm loads, 540 for 4 ohm loads. The Solo 375 XD is 375 watts into 8 ohms. The 575 XD is 575. Their 4 ohm load ratings respectively are 600 watts and 900 watts. The signal to noise ratio is somewhere between 112 and 116 decibels. So that dual and trio 300 XDs give you the highest signal to noise at 116. Their top of the line monoblock is 115, so relatively close, within a dB of that. None of these are talking about bridge mode, so I don't believe they do support bridging. The specifications as far as dimensions, these are all the same chassis. So 7.7 inches, 194 millimeters on the height, 17.1 inches wide, 434 millimeters wide, 21.1 inches deep, 536 millimeters for that. And then the weight, this is where you get the variations, and it starts at 50 pounds for the dual, the 2-channel dual 125 XD is 50 pounds, 22.7 kilograms, and they go up slightly, 60, 70 pounds for the higher power output for the dual series. The Theater 7 series is 70 pounds, 31.8 kilograms. The Chorus ranges between 78 and 100 pounds, 35 and 45 kilograms. And then when you're looking at the trio, that gets you, that's the heaviest unit at 85 pounds, 38.6 kilograms. And the solo monoblocks are 60 and 70 pounds respectively, 27.3 and 31.8 kilograms. These all have removable IEC power cords. The voltages these will take, again, we're in another situation similar to what we saw with Bryston, that they're not clear about if they support 120 and 240 volts. I'm assuming they all are 120, but do they support 240? We're assuming they do. Voltage selection, believe if they're doing it, there's probably a factory, depending on which country you're having it shipped to, that will give you the 120 or 240, but it doesn't seem to be user selectable on the unit. There's no switch on there. Of course, there could be auto switching, but we just don't know. Now, for power supplies, these are all linear. They're all using toroids, and it's just the number that has. So the Theater 7 XD is using 2. The Chorus has 2, 3, or 4 in there, depending on the model. The Duo is all 2 toroids. The Trio is 3. And the Solo 575 is 2. The others are just 1 toroid. The consumption on these do use a lot of power. Starting with the Solo 375 uses the least amount of power at 1150. They work up there from there up to, it looks like 2660 for the Solo 575. So and everything else is in between those two monoblock power consumptions. They all have an Ethernet port. Damping factors vary from 320 in the Theater 7. The Chorus and the Dual lines, as well as the Solo 575, are all 530 dampening factor, and the Dual 300 and the Trio 300 are 1140. And yes, they all have fans, except for the Theater 7, which we can't see that there is. If you know these have fans, let us know on the Theater 7 XD. Well, that wraps it up for Krell. What do you think of this company with a rich history of having known to have some very capable amplifiers for audiophiles? What are your thoughts on these? These are a premium price product, not as high as some of the other ones we've seen, but it is unique. It is the only one that is Class A, fully balanced through the full line. Now, what do you think of that? Is that important to you? Do you worry about the heat and the weight that Class A brings with it? Now, Krell is doing some unique things to keep the performance good, and to give Class A at these wattages is not common. Typically, you see Class A, and those amplifiers that go from Class A to Class AB switched over automatically. The Class A is only delivered to 20, 30, 40, maybe 60 watts per channel, but then it switches over to AB. These are going up, up to 300 watts and so forth. So that's pretty remarkable what they're doing there as far as delivering high output with Class A. So your comments would be appreciated. Please put those in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to take it to that next level, go to www.patreon.com/ripewave. And if you join the Patreon community, and that extra support you give us will enable us to do some great things and bring some more products in and have some more in-depth reviews. So that would be appreciated. But no matter who you are and what you are able to do, you can hit that bell icon so you'll be notified when the next video is published. Until then, keep evolving your audio experience.